in a minute. All right, welcome to our live bread demonstration. We've just added all the ingredients. We're at the very end. We started with 8.5 cups of flour and 6 cups of warm water, right? 2 tablespoons of salt, and we've added the gluten as well here. This is our Vital Wheat gluten. That's what holds the dough together. We've just talked about that, as well as we're going to add the dough enhancer. Right now what we've got going is those ingredients in here with 6 cups of warm water, 8.5 cups of flour, and the yeast as well. So it's mixing right now, and we're just adding flour slowly until it starts to clean the sides of the bowl. This is our high protein hard white wheat that we sell here. And Sharon, I don't know, can you see inside the bowl okay? We'd like all of our viewers to be able to see this. Hopefully they can see okay. As I dump the flour out. As we add this flour, it's going to start to clean the sides of the bowl. And that's the goal, is we want it to clean the sides of the bowl. If you'll notice, I turn it off here, the dough's sticking all along the edges. So it's still not quite dry enough. So we're going to go ahead and grind some more wheat. So we don't have quite enough ground. In our mixer mill here. Go ahead and put that in here. And this is our NutriMill wheat grinder. Very easy to use. We turn it at 12 o'clock for our bread flour consistency is what I like to do. Kind of sounds like a vacuum cleaner. Pretty quiet. You guys have one of these at home? She's got the NutriMill. Great. We also have the NutriMill Harvest, which is a great space saver. It's wonderful for gluten-free people because it's more of a grain grinder. It does coarse grinding. And then also the new one, which is called the NutriMill Plus, right over here. So that'll just be a couple of seconds while we grind that. This will grind 15 cups of flour in about 3 minutes. Has a lifetime warranty. It's dust-free. And it's virtually self-cleaning. The only cleanup you have to do on this wheat grinder, as you know, is just brush out the little filter every so often. And then there's a cup on the underside called the cyclo cup, which basically keeps the dust from blowing all over your house. Now as you turn this farther to the right, what that basically does with this grinder is it speeds up or slows down the airflow. So as you turn it to the right, it's going to speed up the airflow to allow you to get a little bit coarser grind. You'll notice on the top knob here it says motor. That's actually the speed of the motor. So if I were to turn this motor speed down to 3 o'clock and this dial down to 3 o'clock, that's when you get kind of a cornmeal consistency. And we love to grind fresh popcorn. I don't know if you've done that before. Grind your popcorn, it makes your cornbread taste twice as fresh. Really yummy. You guys eat cornbread at all? Yeah, well, we do too. It's really good. I didn't never really like cornbread until we started doing that. Now I like it more. So it tastes a lot better. One of the great advantages with the NutriMill over other wheat grinders is you can turn it off while it's grinding and then there's still wheat in it. And you can take a phone call or whatever else you have to do. And then you can come back and turn it back on and it won't jam. A lot of the other brands you try to do that with, it will actually clog if you go try to turn it on again. Okay, so there's our fresh flour. We're going to go ahead and turn it on. Speed number 2 now, since we've got a lot of flour in here. And we want to watch as this gluten develops. One of the great things about the Bosch mixer that we've done testing with that's really fun is we'll take the food coloring and put some red and blue dye in there. And we'll see how fast it runs through the dough. We've done this with the KitchenAids and a lot of the other mixers, and if you go on YouTube, there's actually a video. You can watch this. But what happens is, in the same time frame of 5 minutes, the Bosch completely puts the food coloring through the dough so it turns a different color, whereas the other competing mixers just put a couple of lines through the dough and that's it, in the exact same time. So the great thing about the Bosch is it's going to develop that gluten in your bread dough much faster than a lot of the other competing brands will do. Usually what it is, it's about 8 minutes from start to finish if I have all my ingredients out. So it's very fast to make your own homemade bread. And one of the things I love about it, it's the family involved as well, but you get to save a lot of money. And you get to save your health, right? Because it's all fresh from scratch. Now do you see how the dough is starting to pull away from the sides of the bowl? You see that? Hopefully the camera can see that. But you can see down inside the bowl now, and it's turning white. So it's literally cleaning the bowl. I once had a guy come in here and ask me, how do you know when the bowl's clean? So I was trying to teach him how to do that, because he would just keep adding flour. But one of the key things about making this bread is you don't want to over add the flour, because then it gets a really heavy dough consistency. You don't want your bread to be too heavy. You want to add the flour just a little bit slower. All right. So that's about where we want to stop adding flour. We're going to go ahead and time it now. If you have your watches out, it's 5 minutes from this point. What I like to do is turn it off so you can see with the camera, those who are watching online. And we're going to go ahead and add our 2.5 tablespoons of the dough enhancer. My sister figured this out by accident one day, just because she forgot to add the dough enhancer, and she noticed a huge improvement in her bread. So we started doing it. So that's why we add the dough enhancer the last few minutes of kneading. So again, if you've just joined us, welcome to our whole wheat bread demonstration today. Thank you for joining us. We're just finishing up adding all the ingredients here, and we're just timing it for 5 minutes, okay? Now if you were to do white bread, you don't time it quite as long. It's actually 3 minutes, and that's also in our bread recipe book here called Bounteous Basics. During the cooking class, we offer this book for $5.99. If you're online, give us a call. We'd be happy to get that for you as well. We do mail it out. Our number's 888-400-4932. We've got to advertise online, right? Okay. So just a couple more minutes. While that's going, I'm going to go ahead and put this. Is there any questions that you guys have?
What's the difference between the NutriMill and the NutriMill Plus?
That's a great question. She asked, what's the difference between the NutriMill Classic and the NutriMill Plus? So in order to show you, I'll just pull that over. So the NutriMill Plus is the latest one. They're actually in the process of retooling this one, so it's going to go out of manufacturing for about 8 months from now. And this one is taking its place for now. So the NutriMill Plus shrinks down to this size. So this whole wheat grinder is inside here right now. This is 2 separate units. So when you get it out of this condition here, there's a little tab here, you pull that out, you slide it inside of the NutriMill Plus. You've got your adjustment right here, just like this one. But the advantage with this one is instead of having a motor speed and being confused, it just says finer or coarser. You just flip that little dial. So much easier to figure out, in my opinion. So when you go ahead and get out your flour, it's stored right in here. It's the same size as this hopper, even though it looks smaller, doesn't take quite as big of a platform, which I love about it. This also holds 20 cups. So that when you're done grinding, you have just the right amount of flour to make a full batch of bread in the Bosch mixer. The other thing is, it's great is you can just add the flour, add the wheat up level to the top here of this canister, and then it fills this canister full of flour. So it makes it really convenient. We just slide that in there. And this one's also just a little bit quieter, which I really like about it. And it's normally $2.79. We've got an in-store special going on right now for $2.19. So it's a really good deal. And you match with any Amazon price. The NutriMill Classic is actually the same price right now, $2.19. And I do have a few left before they retool it. So now you'll notice some of this dough is climbing up just a little bit. With the white flour, where it's a starch, and obviously we know that starch in our bodies turns to sugar, and sugar turns to fat. Well, in the Bosch mixer, if you're just using white flour, it's that sugary starch. It's just going to climb up really fast. So you'll notice with the white bread, you'll have to add the flour just a little faster than I do with the whole wheat, because it climbs much faster, because it's stickier. Okay? And maybe you've experienced that already. But as this is kneading, we talked about the gluten developing. You'll see how this is torn here. So it's not quite developed there, but down below, do you see that? It's really smooth. So that's where the gluten has been developed. And this is where it's still developing here on the top. As you push on it, you'll notice it's kind of torn in some places and together in others. Why that's important is the gluten is what holds the dough together as it rises, like we talked about. All right. I'm going to push that over. Grab out my mat. our sale. We have these on for 10 bucks. We also have a larger version, which I like to use for rolling out my dough. It sticks to the counter, doesn't move around, and it's also non-stick, so the dough comes off of it really easily. See if I can find my larger one. We're going to go ahead and form the bread in just a moment into loaves. So we'll go ahead and just have you pause that. You want to hit.
Would that be up here?